Oh, there we go. Sound. Sound is good. Sound is good. I have sound. There, let me do my spiel again. Let's pretend we just came in. Let's go outside, close the door, open the door, come back in. Okay. Hi, everybody. This is Ann. Welcome back to Reaper Pro Tips, a.k.a. Painting Big Channel in Disguise. With me, your host, Ann, and no disembodied voices today, as Justin is still, we hope, recovering and also buried under a mound of video he has to edit, and David is in a meeting. So, yes. And take two. Yeah, right. Get our little board thing. Justin actually has one of those. I am not pro enough to have one of those. This is the almost professional thing. But yes, you're not going to squeak your ball for them, Kiwi? She's like, no, I'm sulking that you closed the door. Yes, because I want you to stay in here, little dog. Because little dog did not empty fully this morning, so we may have a tail incident. We shall see. I decided to paint something different today. It's been a while since we talked to Rock Troll and put some color on him, so I thought I would get out my Dungeon Dwellers colors and we would resume rock trolling. Yes, I'm in the mood to troll today. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Let's see here. We need our goblin skin. Remember our colors we were using? Some of them from the monster colors and then some from the dungeon colors of the Dungeon Dweller paint sets. Of course, you can buy these single as well. These are the Dungeon Dwellers. This is monster color. These are the sets that we gave out for ReaperCon and swag bags a couple years back. Let me get my other ones. How is everyone this morning? Yeah, I don't remember. Clapboard maybe? Storm? I'm not sure. Hey, Motor City Ray, how's it going? Hello, everybody. Excellent. All right, so let's see here. We needed our Eldritch Purple for the gemstones and our Vampiric Mist. And I think that the color I was using that wasn't a Dungeon Dweller was, of course, Black Indigo, which, again, is coming out with Bones 5. Happily. Yeah, these are the colors that I've been using on the Rock Troll all along. They're very useful. They're very versatile. I do like Goblin Skin a lot and Kobold Scale, and I use them a lot. I use Troll Hide a ton now, actually. So essentially, we're not using a true black and we're not using a true white. There's our lineup. So Black Indigo is the closest thing we get to black, and the shadows on Troll's chest are done in Black Indigo, and also all the shading on the gemstone that we did earlier is Black Indigo. And then the skin is going to be a mixture of Troll Hide, Ogre Skin, and Vampiric Mist for the highlight to build up more of a highlight. And then Goblin Skin is being used for all of the fleshy bits around the face. And we're going to do the hands as well. You can see I kind of oranged out the hand the last time we worked on him. So, yeah, I decided I just wanted to... Goblins can be green. But, are you trying to troll Val? Are you trying to troll Ron? Because Ron is the one who insists on orange goblins because of D&D First Edition. So you can blame Ron for the orange goblins. I personally remember the orange goblins and was around during orange goblin time. However, like many other people, I have chosen to slide toward the green end of the scale. Yes. Trolling Ron. He's not watching. He's probably, I don't know, sleeping? Recovering? I don't know what Ron does when Ron isn't being Ron. Maybe he's actually at work trying to get the sculptors to do something, and the sculptors are saying, no, we're taking a week off after ReaperCon. I don't know. Oh, no. 37 bottle order. Well, then Reaper would say, working as intended. There's a reason they're paying me. I make no claims to autonomy. Although, actually, I have this on my channel. I am making a claim to autonomy. Which is why you will sometimes hear me talk about other paint lines on my channel. Ron is in one of his many offices, yes, but which one? You see, now there's a new building. There's 2 new buildings. So now Ron will have even more offices. This is just totally not fair. He already had the best office in the building. He was coveting my office, but I think Sadie's going to fight him off tooth and nail. Yeah, Black Indigo is in the Chaos 5 paint set. I actually brought back Rich Indigo and Black Indigo in an Indigo Triad, and the highlight is Wild Violet. Wild Violet is a totally new color. It's probably, I think it may be the last new color I made while I was at Reaper. Yeah, I also love Rich Indigo. And I use Black Indigo so much. I use this for Rich Indigo for shading a lot of stuff. So, yeah. So these guys will be in a triad together. An indigo triad. To replace the old indigo triad we used to have. Long, long ago in a galaxy far, far away, there was another indigo triad in the first 108 of Master Series. And nobody bought it, and it was sad, so it got retired, i.e. discontinued. Yes, Sadie definitely has an edge. I mean, Ron has a whip and Sadie has nails, but Sadie's a lot more... It's like the little dog defending its yard from the big Irish wolfhound, and the little dog's going to win because it cares more. Yeah. Exactly. Yes, until he starts getting sub-basements, right? Well, with Reaper breaking ground, although it's hard, you can't have basements in Texas because we're all on top of shale and clay, and it shifts all the time. So if he tries to put in a sub-basement, it's just going to collapse, which would be, kind of funny in a way. But yes. But yeah, little dog edge. Or how do we say... I'm trying to think of the little dog difference. That's it. In Overwatch lately, it's the something difference. Hashtag something difference. Hashtag little dog difference. So I have big dogs, so but my big dogs just don't care that much. They're just like, all right. If you bark at my face, I'm gonna leave. Thanks, bye. Pretty chill. Shilohs are pretty chill. Most Shilohs, not all Shilohs. Most Shilohs. Whenever you make generalizations about a type or a breed, they're going to be false in some instances. Right, Kiri? Kiri says, I am chill. Aw, the love with the red wings actually looks really good, Val. That's a really good one. Definitely. All right, so let's put some paint down. I have to touch up his tummy. I have to touch up his shoulder. And then we got to work on this arm, which we were working on last time. But it could use more work. And I thought we would talk a little bit today about when you get up these big gems, of course. Here, let's get Troll in focus. Troll, focus on me. There we go. So when you're doing these big gems like we did, where we're doing a lot of details on them, obviously you've got room to do all that. But when you get down to these little pebbly things, you really need to just do them quick and give the general appearance of what you're doing. So I thought today I would just block in these little gems like quickly and then maybe concentrate. You really want to do them all kind of generalistically and then concentrate on the big ones to carry your effect. Let's see what we got. You can't have basements. Really? Well, weird. I was always told that we could not have a basement where we were. Primarily, I mean, I suppose you could build it to account for the sliding stuff, but, I mean, we had to repair our foundation after 8 years, and that was $15,000, so, or more. Oh, and now I'm going to be responsible for people, dropping too much money on Nerd House. Yeah, I went and bought, actually, I think I did go to Nerd House for my ritual casting, because since ritual casting rated us the other day and was really nice about it, I did go and buy one of his sculpts. So I got the she-wolf, the Viking. It was between her and the new boss. I really love the new boss, but I have so many, like, I've got a bunch of sci-fi and cyberpunk minis I haven't painted yet. So I told myself that no more science fiction until I paint one. So I have to paint one of those. That is the end. I'm kind of thinking, I have a couple from Mr. Lee's minis, and there's one of them that really reminds me of Farah from Overwatch, so I'm kind of thinking I might have to convert and or base the paint job on one of Farah's skins. It could be cool. She's a lot blockier, but yeah, Gunhild or whatever she is. There isn't, Xander, what I usually tell people is to mix like 4 drops of pure black with a drop or 2 of clear blue and a couple drops of clear magenta. That's as close as you're going to get. I can't give you the precise formula match because 1, I'm not supposed to, and 2, because I can't. And when I mix this, the formula is in a gallon. So there's no way to be as precise when you're using just drops and you have to break it down to like, eighths. Since, with pigment wheels, we can go a lot more precise than that. We could go up to like a 48th of an ounce. So yeah, but you can get close if you're just doing 4 drops of black, like 1 to 2 drops of clear blue, and like 2 drops of clear magenta, and tune it as you wish. You just need something near black. But yes, yes. So yeah, I bought that from Ritual Casting the other day. So I do need to knuckle down. I told David we have not been doing nearly enough hobbying recently. We've both been distracted by Overwatch and just generally, doing other things around the house, and for me, cooking and such. So I'm like, we must knuckle down. Gonna put down some troll hide here. And actually get some painting done this weekend. He actually just got the same bust I'm going to be starting with my mentoree, which is the Northern Wind bust from Big Child, which is a female barbarian with a bunch of skulls on her. She's fantastic. And he's all psyched about it, so we'll probably hobby a lot this week, which makes me happy. Yeah, so that's just it, Iggy, is I don't get the, my partner will not kill me over buying more minis. Look who I live with. And I'll tell you, my collection is smaller than his. Because I pruned my collection big time before I moved out here. Because I didn't want to move all this stuff. So I pretty much gave away or sold anything that I wasn't enthused about anymore. But yeah, David's never going to stop me. So I got to stop myself. And the only thing I could do is paint more things. And then at least they go in the display cases, which still do have room. Or they get sold to you guys. So, which makes you happy. So it's like, and fulfills a Patreon thing that I, always say I'll do. So we'll see. I have so many beautiful busts to work on. Hey there, Quindy. Yeah. See, that's the way to go to do it, Rihanna, is if your husband has a magic addiction, then it's like, yeah, when you stop buying cards, I get to stop buying minis. Right, exactly. I am firmly in your court there. All right, so let's just block in some skin while we're talking here. Let's see what we got. Old Reaper color that I need to replace. There's nothing close, Scrying Eye. Yeah, the closest thing is a Reapercon color Retro Emerald. And the reason that I brought Emerald back for that Reapercon is that we don't have anything else like it. The closest you could probably get is if you did 9015 Jade Green and added a tiny bit more yellow, but you're just not going to get there. You need to ask on the Reaper forums, ask if anybody has a bottle of Retro Emerald from Reapercon, if they're willing to sell it to you. That's Retro Emerald is as close as you're going to get. And I didn't even have this, I had kind of a goopy bottle, but it might not be a perfect match. But it's to the formula. Yes, exactly, Quindy. That's perfect. Yes. Well, I'm glad you guys have awesome husbands and partners. Dragon Eye has one. See now, Scrying Eye, you need to be very nice to Dragon Eye. Because yeah, it is a really unique color, but because it's a unique color, a lot of people might have it and not necessarily like it or use it. So you should be able to find somebody who's willing to part with the bottle. But then keep in mind what you should do, Scrying Eye, then, if Dragon Eye is nice enough to get you that bottle, is you need to mess around with, say, Clear Brights and some stuff, figure out a mix that will get you close to it. Because once you have that bottle, you'll be able to put a drop on your wet palette and then try mixes of other colors until you can essentially mix something close enough for you. And I would recommend probably Jade Green plus yellow, but it's not going to be perfect because Jade Green does have a little black in it. Yeah, the new Sisters battle are nice. Yeah, be nice to Dragon Eye, that's for sure. I don't know if Dragon Eye is truly that vengeful, but, you want to be nice to people whose names are named after dragons. You just never know. It seems prudent. There we go, Mr. Troll. Hey, Coops, how's it going? Yeah, that's the Carrie Michael. Then you get into you got to warn him about the doom, though, the great doom of having a girlfriend or wife or partner who you've gotten into mini painting or who has gotten into mini painting, and you are a gamer and you're like, oh, now you can paint all my stuff for D&D and armies. Inevitably, this goes south because eventually, once the female in the equation gets good enough she starts wanting to paint like busts and things for other people for money, and then you no longer get your armies painted. Trust me, I know so many female mini painters whose husbands are still waiting for them to paint their armies. The answer is a no. Because once you get into like, painting painting for yourself or painting for commissions or whatever floats your boat, inevitably the stuff for free gets sidelined. It's kind of funny. So let me get back into using a wet palette here. We need to put in some shadows. Oh, I'm going to need my black indigo. I can see that. So I'm just going to put in some dashes for now. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, the weekend, exactly. Yeah, it's Overwatch League finals, semifinals, I guess, because the grand finals won't be till they're thinking about flying everybody to Korea for them. So we're waiting to see if that goes forward. But yeah, it's Overwatch League this weekend, so I get to watch some really good Overwatch. That makes me happy while I work on PDFs and all this stuff for you guys. I did shoot a video yesterday for my $2 tier, and that is going to be painting yellow, guys. I did some yellow. It's pretty good yellow, too. I'm going to get some black indigo in here. We'll see how frustrating my wet palette wants to make me today. Usually I use it if I'm going to be wet blending a lot, and I don't like it as much if I'm not wet blending. So we shall see we'll see how the wet blending wants to work today. Oh, you did warn him. Okay, good. Oh, nice. You got to quit to be the freelance. Yeah, isn't it awesome? I hope you're enjoying your freelance life. Like, I am very much enjoying my freelance life, and I'm so happy that it's working out. The first time I tried freelancing, I failed big time at it, and I didn't understand enough how heavy the business side gets to be. You spend a lot of time doing stuff other than arting. If you're doing it right. And so I failed big time when I first tried freelancing, and it's taken me a number of years to come back to it, but now I'm here with a vengeance, and I'm determined to do it right this time. You want to paint everything to high quality, yeah. Yeah, I get you, Carrie Michael, and sometimes you just gotta maybe find a way to... I'm just going to make him Dark Shadows Twisted Oma. I mean, where the shoulder meets the gems here, like, I just haven't green stuff these in. I did a little bit of green stuff here to show you guys how to do it, and that you can do green stuff right on top of, your painted stuff, and it's just fine, and then you just paint over it. I just haven't, and I don't know if I will. I don't know if I'm even going to finish this guy. I like him, but liking him does not mean that I will finish him. If I actually do finish him and I like him enough at that point, then I could green stuff those areas in. But right now, there are so many other models. Like, when I'm not on stream, it gets down to a question of, okay, so I'm on stream, but I'd rather talk about something more interesting to you guys than green work. I don't want to be talking about filling all the time. And then when I'm off stream, I want to be working on models that I actually need to finish for commissions and for stuff. So... Yeah, I'm working remotely for Reaper, obviously, as well. Good, yeah, wet blending is good. What we were talking about yesterday with, good morning, Mathophile, with Zenith, how you could use Zenith priming to speed yourself up a bit. I mean, I'm taking it really slow, but that's because I'm deconstructing stuff with the Zenith priming. But it can help. Even just wet blending on top of a Zenith base coat and just kind of, using it to remind yourself where your shadows are as you blend in everything. That can all be a good thing too. So I'm using some mixes of black indigo and troll hide, which makes kind of a muddyish color. Muddyish, bluish, greenish, something or other color. I don't know. It's a very indeterminate color. It's got a lot of different pigments fighting in it, but it works. So let me see. I need to mix a lighter highlight for this. And my wet palette is not very wet today, so I'm going to have to mix a separate puddle of it. Isn't it funny? My wet palette was too wet the other day, and now it's not wet today. It's just like, totally can't make up its mind. It's very annoyed. There, we'll mix up a lighter olive green with some, I'm adding ogre skin and a touch of spectral, or, what is this? Vampiric mist. That's right. I always forget. I always think it's spectral white or something, but it's not. To mix a very light olivey color, essentially, for my highlights. I just decided I wanted to do the wet palette today because if I'm going to do a lot of wet blending, I tend to like it, but I don't know. It may frustrate me today. I may have been better off going with my usual stuff. Yeah, I've left a lot of gaps in here. I haven't greened it all. And it's just, you know, time. I don't mind doing some green work on stream, but I don't like to take up this stream with it. I'm more likely to do more on my my personal, you know, my afternoon stream, as you could call it. I guess this is also currently my personal stream, but this is still a Reaper stream as far as I am concerned. I should be back on Reaper next week, guys, just so you know. We should have pro tips. We should have everything else, everything starting up as usual next week over on Reaper Miniatures Twitch. Do a little bit of blending there because that muscle kind of crosses over there. This is actually important in painting muscles. So there is a little ridge down here that kind of connects these two muscles together, and so I'm highlighting it. I did not highlight it at first. But this is one of the secrets of making muscles look natural, is that you do have those tendon connections, those bits of connection between muscles. And so ligaments and tendons. And tendons are on bones, technically. Ligaments are muscles, I think. And so putting those in and doing some crossing over so that it's not just bands of unconnected tissue is really important for making muscles look right. I learned that from Sergio. It was I had thought about it beforehand and hadn't really. It's fun to take classes from other painters because it's stuff that you've unconsciously thought about, like been conscious of in the back of your mind, but then they say it out loud and you're like, oh yeah, I never really realized that I should be doing this because it makes it look more realistic. I just always did it because that's what muscles look like. So like I'll do another connection here. I don't want to lose my shadow too much. There we go. So we've got that connected for the most part now. I need to carry us a little bit higher here. And I can connect to these guys. Make a little connection point where that comes in. And with fantasy creatures whose anatomy may not be sculpted realistically, you don't need to worry about if those muscles would actually connect as much. I mean, if it looks like it's pretty evident that they should, then by all means, make them do so. If you think they should have a connection point, go for it. If anybody calls you out, ask them where their sample troll skeleton is to teach you that anatomy. And a little bit more black indigo to shade this in. There we go. So now we've got some connection points there. Multicolor iridescent crystals. Yeah, it's the only true rainbow effect that you get in crystals is opal. And I mean, diamonds are often portrayed with rainbow reflections, but if you look at a diamond like just with the regular light on it, it doesn't have that much. And so the closest thing to what you're talking about would be opal, I think, in Aura. And that's going to be like, it's actually pretty simple. It's a lot of stippling, and you kind of have to look at opals themselves and see where the colors tend to focus. But I mean, there's so many fracture lines. It helps if you kind of concentrate your orange red in one area and your greenish blues in other areas. And then your background's typically a pale indigo, and your highlights are white. But I mean, it's, if you're looking at something like this, you're not going to see rainbows in it like very much. Maybe a tiny suggestion, maybe. But it's the light that comes out that tends to split, right, to prism. And if it's not a very clear prism, you won't get that. So I mean, it would be a magical effect, I suppose, but I thought, I don't know. When I use gemstones or when I paint them on a model, I'm usually using them for a color accent. So a multicolored one does nothing for me, unless my model is extremely monochrome. So yeah. Yeah, this is definitely a really well put together troll. He is going to pound you for sure. Yeah, Opal's my favorite. Yeah, it's dark values. So here, because you want the light, we want the light val coming from above, right? Gotta think about where your light's coming from. Um, and so I wanted a very dramatic shadow on this side, so we have a little bit of light touching here and here and here. But in general, I want the light going down the front, and choosing again a light source that coming from a slight oblique, just like I did with Pirate King on the Throne, except his is coming from the opposite direction. Choosing something that's not straight up and down gives you a little bit of help in how you're going to highlight stuff, especially with these gems, because it lets me essentially know that every facet pointed this direction is going to get that top highlight. And that lets me, realistically highlight the gems and consistently. Yeah, pretty much. Justin. Poor Justin. He actually told me, I touched base with him yesterday just over text, Chibi, and he told me that mostly he's just been editing stuff from the con, because he has 5 days of content to edit and put up on our YouTube and all of that. So that's something I haven't even done. I'm just exporting my Twitch videos straight to YouTube. But in reality, I probably should go and edit parts of those. Maybe I'll start. That's a huge commitment, though. I don't know if Reaper monetizes its YouTube, but YouTube just seems like it's so much trouble, so much work to make a YouTube like be significant portion of income. I looked into it and then I was like, yeah, not worth it. So I haven't done much other than throw my raw VODs up. I don't know that it's worth it for me to put more work than that into it, because editing takes a while. Like when I edit my stuff, like today I've got 2 videos to edit and it's going to take 3 hours, or more. So edit out everything. Yes. Yeah, YouTube is good, and that's why I put my stuff up there. I do need to do an intro video for both Twitch and YouTube, a channel trailer for YouTube and Twitch. And that's worthwhile. Like, that can give people kind of an intro to me and what I'm about. So I'll work on that. But I don't like the YouTube. The other thing is I don't like YouTube as a platform very much. I don't know. I really enjoy Twitch. But to each their own. And the YouTube conversion rate for Patreon, that's just the other reason you do it, because advertising, right? Like, just like you said, Mathophile. But the YouTube conversion rate to Patreon seems much lower. I know it's very low, but I would expect if they did a study on Twitch, that the Twitch conversion rate would be much better than the YouTube conversion rate. Because people on Twitch seem to understand, like, Patreon and supporting their favorite artists and everything and their favorite streamers, if they want more focused content from that streamer or more specialized content. Whereas I think YouTube people are just looking for, their free video. Not always, but I mean, there have been times when I've looked up somebody on YouTube and been so impressed with what they showed me that I went and tried to find them on a different platform that I could actually throw them money on. There was one lady who did a video about white balance and webcams and how the camera operates with that, who taught me a ton, and I wish that she would have been on something other than YouTube. All right, so I'm working on muscles going down. Yeah, Polar. Well, it's so tiny. It's just so tiny. And as far as click-throughs to, like, I think it's like between 1% and 3% of your YouTube audience will come to your Patreon. Patreon's done studies on this. So they're like, if you have already a large YouTube following, it makes sense to start a Patreon if your followers want more specialized or special stuff from you, because that 1 to 2% will actually convert to a sizable Patreon. But if you don't have a sizable YouTube presence already, it may not be worth building one, because it would take you so long to build one to the point where it would impact your Patreon. You'd just be better off building your Patreon. It's that kind of thing. But yeah, Twitch is far better for Reaper. Would not surprise me at all. And me, I'm just waiting to see, like, I'm in such early days on Twitch with the Painting Big channel here. So I'm waiting to see if it keeps going well like it is now, right? Like, that's going to determine subs and bit cheers and all the rest of it is going to determine how much time I feel I can put into Twitch in the future. And I would like to put more time into Twitch because I do like it, but I have to balance everything. Cannot let myself get too caught up in the thing that I really like if it does not also, help me buy Kiri treats. Man, this dog is expensive. I blew a ton of money on dog food for her this morning. Dog food. And I need to buy her meds later. Doggles are expensive, but we love them. So I'm just going to block some of this in with a little lighter green. Crowley, if you could only do one, if you like Twitch and you have a thing against Patreon, because a couple of people really just don't like Patreon, then by all means, Twitch is great. But honestly, I get a lot more from Patreon as far as percentage. Like, Twitch will grab, I think Twitch grabs like 30% off the top. And Patreon only charges me 5%. So that's a big difference. But on the other hand, if you cheer with bits on my Twitch, then those come directly, like 1 bit equals 1 penny. So like, a $10, 100, 100 bits is like $1, and 1,000 bits is like $10, that kind of thing. So I was like, even the little cheers are nice. But yeah, I mean, the subs, I don't know. Right now, my Patreon is also the thing that, if you think about it, I'm used to a steady paycheck, right? So the reason I like Patreon is that it lets me budget and plan, because it is a guaranteed amount per month, right? And that's why it's such a game changer for freelancers. The big problem with freelancing back in the day is you just didn't know when the money was going to come in. Like, you could try to finish your project, but you had no guarantee the client was going to pay you right away. Maybe they'd hold off for a week and you really needed food that week, So I do love Patreon, both because I really enjoy producing content for it, and because it gives me that baseline salary per month that lets me plan my month financially. Now, as we progress, if the Patreon gets big, and thank you, Val. Looks like Zombie George has abandoned us once again. Thank you for the gift subs, everybody. Yeah, but yeah, bits and tips go directly to the creator. Yeah. Right. Some months you'll get lots of subs, and some months it'll just be your regular crowd. Right. And the best I can do is just always remind people and to keep an eye on my dashboard. I do need Twitch to do a certain amount for me to put a lot of hours into it. As I've got, because I failed so badly the first time I freelanced. Now I am extremely cognizant of the business end. So essentially, Twitch needs to make a certain amount per hour for me to do more of it. Right, or to sustain the level I'm at. Although I do like the level I'm at is very good right now. It's much better than I thought it would be. So I was pleasantly surprised about Twitch. Now, guys, I'm going to be putting a highlight like close up next to these gems, even if the gems are would be shading a little bit of the arm here. I'm still going to put a green highlight next to them because the base of these gems is going to be dark. It's going to be black indigo. So this is something like you'll see 2D artists do all the time, is they'll put a kind of artificial highlight around a dark area or an artificial shadow around a light area in order to make it stand out. And if you're very minimalistic about it, it won't read incorrectly. I think I need to up my camera and change my focus here. He's such a big mini and he's so deep that it's hard to keep him in focus when I'm turning him. There, that's good. Yeah, exactly. Right. And it's not opportunity cost. It's a different economics term, right, Mathophile? Yeah, I am really happy about Twitch. I mean, the reason I'm going to add a third day onto my Twitch schedule and try to go over to the D&D channel and see what we can do over there is because Twitch is doing so well for me. Like, relatively speaking, I'm very surprised. Um, it easily tripled my expectations for the first month. So we'll see. First month is always going to be, I think, exciting because it's your first month. So we'll see what we can do for maintaining. To see if people continue to enjoy the content, continue to want to sub, use their Prime subs on, and I know it's hard too because right, you want to sub Reaper as well to keep supporting Reaper. So it's like I don't hold it against anybody if they decide to throw their Prime sub to Reaper instead of to me. But I do really appreciate everybody who's subbed and patroned to me. It all adds up. It all adds up to me continuing to be able to do this. And it's already going better than I expected it to. It is opportunity cost, yeah. Yeah, it's just a different kind of opportunity cost. Because, I mean, it's a monetary opportunity cost, right? Instead of just thinking about, like, the opportunity... If I sit and paint today, I've missed the opportunity to take a walk, right? It's that kind of thing. But yeah, I guess it is also a time, money, opportunity cost can be both. Yeah, and it's a balancing act sometimes with freelancing. Of course, I also am able to cross over a lot. So, like, let me see here. I need to start getting his skin a little fleshier. So when you mix white with orange, you get skin tones. And if I need a little bit, so I'm mixing this kind of thing. And if I need a little bit more yellow, I can get a fleshy tone that's pretty convincing, actually. And I don't want to get too fleshy right away. I do want to kind of map in some highlights here, and then I can blend them in. Oh, Jill, I'm still gonna be painting, but the D&D, there's a D&D thing on Twitch, a category, D&D category. And just like I normally stream in the art category. But I thought that streaming in the D&D category would be a pretty good fit if I'm painting player characters or even monsters. Although I think that monsters are less of a fit because people who are watching the D&D channel probably want to see fast monsters, which is not what I'm good at. But usually people do want to take time on their villains, their arch villains, and their player characters. So I thought we might find some new viewers if I started streaming on Thursday, if I added a Thursday afternoon stream, and we did that on the D&D category instead of in the art category. Because it seemed like a good fit. And then the other one I was looking at is the Warhammer category, because I do paint Games Workshop every once in a while. Man, this is just not thin enough. My wet palette is weird today. Hello. Oh. More coffee, yeah, I know. Well, you maybe like it, Mathophile, but if you're GMing a game actively, you usually don't have the time. Not unless it's a monster that you want to use over and over again. Hello, Xandercles! Oh, another 2-month subber! Yay! I love people who sub for 2 months. Yeah, it definitely... I told David I want a coconut milk latte later. I made pumpkin spice yesterday because I made pumpkin spice muffins. Oh, no. Nah, I don't even know they know who I am. No. No, but I think that branching out and getting myself noticed over there, because I look over there and there's a ton of people who go to the D&D channel to watch, and most of, but not all of, the D&D content is just people streaming their games. And so there isn't a lot of painting over there. But painting for many people is still integral to the game. I mean, it's how I got into miniature painting was painting for D&D. So I can't help but think that there might be a market over there and people that could be happy to discover us. So yeah, right, Liquid Nebula. So that's what I'm thinking. Is I think I'm going to go over there and try to pioneer. I think I saw one person over there painting. I don't know how good they are, but I could totally, be the token good painter over there, kind of talking about some of the techniques that maybe a lot of people painting characters wouldn't talk about. Plus, I've got a lot of cool character models from Reaper and, from the Pathfinder line and from Darksword, right? So I have a lot of cool characters that I could paint over there. So mostly I'm going to highlight like these. I want that dramatic shadow, remember? So I'm looking at where the light's going to fall. It's going to fall from above. It's probably just going to hit those knuckles. You can still see a dramatic shadow since I'm leaving this dramatic shadow here and having this sharp demarcation line. Remember how sharp our shadow demarcation lines are over here? Doing that over here is going to give us that appearance that we're looking for. I'm actually keeping a lot of olive green in the shadows. And I will want some bounced light toward the bottom, but for now, that's pretty dramatic. I like it. Trying to follow the contours of the hand. Oh, I hate that Coos. I'm a fly hater. I hunted one yesterday to extinction. Since I was a child, I have loved the fly swatter. I'm pretty good with it too. But yeah, that's one thing. This, in a lot of ways, the South Bay reminds me of Wisconsin. The weather, I mean, and the bugs remind me of Wisconsin. It definitely is an improvement over Texas. Glaze medium works. I mean, are they getting thick, Grim? Or are you using them and you just want to thin them and they're falling apart? Like, what's the precise question? What's the precise condition that you've got going on? Yes, thick. Just use water. I mean, you put a few drops of water into the bottle and shake them. I mean, you can use a medium, but if your metallics have gotten thick, it's just simply evaporation over time because that's a very fluid base. And so all you really need to do is just add a bit more water. I mean, I would add 10 drops of water, or, if you want to do medium, but I don't know, I don't feel it's necessary, really. When I had to thin our sample paints that were metallics, I just always used water. I just would put 10 drops in, shake it really well, assess the thickness, put 10 more drops in. Metallic medium you don't want to use because it has flake in it. In our eye, at least that's what I believe. What I am used to being called metallic medium is actually a base with metallic flake in it, but without pigment. Strong shadow light gradient is visually appealing to humans in general, Mathophile, because we like contrast. Our eyes are drawn to contrast. In the old days, it was probably a survival mechanism, right? Picking out predators, picking out prey, picking out, that's why we like bright colors when we're looking for food, things like that. So our eyes are evolved to look for contrast in our surroundings. And that is why their dramatic lighting effect that is very popular now and has been popular for years in Europe, and has caught on so widely across the world and with painters. That's why it works, is because we find something pleasing in the way that the dramatic light falls. It's very pleasing to us in general. This does not mean that doing something more subtle isn't also cool. I mean, obviously, Dragonkin is just as cool looking in his own way, and he doesn't have a strong lighting effect, right? But this it just gives a sense of place, I guess. I'm very drawn to strong lighting effects because David does it and it just lights me up the way that he does it. So I want to try it, and that's why I'm doing it more. But my old style painting technique, the way I used to work, like this still is pleasing to look at, and the reason is that there is still contrast here. It's just we're doing contrast across the whole figure evenly. We're not focusing contrast on a particular strong light source. So we still need contrast for our models to look good. You still have to have darks and lights, and you want that blue arm to stick out against that shadow behind it, and you want the pants to stand out and all this kind of thing. Yeah, this is for my paint along in Ara. We're almost done with him. This month my paint along finishes on this guy. But yeah, so you always want contrast in mini painting. The dramatic lighting effect gives you the opportunity to do something artistically different with it. Instead of just painting the model with contrast over the whole surface, you're very much focusing it on a specific light source. So yeah, I mean... Yeah. Let's see here. So yeah, it's a style, Mathophile. So there are definitely painters who go for a more dramatic lighting style. The other thing to remember is that this is probably a more, the strong light sourcing is actually more of a realistic light source in a lot of ways. Like this guy, he's probably outside and maybe on an overcast day. Maybe slightly overcast day. Because just from the way that his highlights are showing and his shadows. So it still looks realistic. But it could be, it's like this guy, you can imagine being in a cave where there's a lot of darkness and you've got an overhead like crack in the ceiling, right? Like kind of same thing with Pirate King when I'm doing this strong overhead like spotlight effect. So it's definitely saying something about the environment, right? So the one maybe outside and even light, and this one definitely is in a shadowed environment with a strong light from above. Same with Snake Lady. When I got her going, I finished her sculpting her base, by the way, so we need to paint it and get some waterfall action going on. So she's the same way, right? You can see, because of the darkness that you've introduced, that she is in a shadowy environment, and you've got that bright light source over her head. But you can definitely see from the way the light goes that she's in a more shadowy environment. Like, it translates, right? So what you're doing by choosing one paint style or the other is you're choosing to make a decision about what the environment is. And you're trying to convey that without actually building a diorama. You're building a diorama with light. Yes, correct. And like I said, the environment, Mathophile. So what you're trying to say about the environment. So by keeping something in very deep shadow like this, that otherwise, if he was outside on a cloudy day, this side would be lit just as strongly as this side, right? Or in a sunny day is probably more like what he would be if he was outside, because I've got some very yellow highlights here, right? And I could bring up a yellowy tinge to these highlights, and then he'd look like he was in sunshine, because bright sunshine is going to give you this dramatic light and shadow play. It's not going to give you a softer shadow play like that dragonkin. So yeah, essentially what it makes you think about is your environment. And sometimes it is just style. Sometimes painters just aren't necessarily trying, they just want something dramatic, and they maybe don't want to they don't want to suggest the environment as much. But with me, I find that I need to imagine a setting for, hi Kiri, good girl, you want to settle? Kiri's a little restless, so we may have a dog emergency soon. Hi face. She's too far for me to show her on camera. But yeah, so I mean, there's different ways to think about it. Yeah, I mean, jungle has a lot of green light, right? Because it's filtering through the canopy up above. That's why Snake Lady could be in the jungle at dusk, because then it's going to be all bluish shadows, probably. Just skylight reflecting and filtering down through leaves and canopy. You're still going to have a bluish or greenish. She has a cool green and bluish underlighting. But yeah, if you want to do realistic stuff, then yeah, definitely look at things. I mean, keep in mind that photographs can be deceiving on that, because, cameras are not perfect. They're nowhere near as good as our eyes. So sometimes you have to kind of extrapolate, look at a lot of photographs, kind of notice some stuff, and just go for it. Just trying to get all this stuff kind of figured out, blocked in. And I'm liking the orange hand, but I could blend it if I did a glaze. So I'm going to grab some troll flesh and some water and paint. And because, now notice this, guys, is you're putting a green glaze over orange, but it's actually making it go like more yellowy almost and more intense because troll flesh has so much yellow in it. So it's sliding it that way. Hugh accidentally bought 2 snack ladies. Sisters. Happy accident. Yes, yes, Grim, have fun. Two sets of snake people. For a minute there, Dragon Eye, I thought you said you were frantically adding the Vex to your cat. And I was like imagining a cat with an airbrush mounted on its head and what chaos could be wreaked. And apparently my brain is just reaching for the whimsical today. Yeah, the snake people are great. I think the snake people are great subs for things like, not just like fish people or lizard men, but good subs for even troglodytes, for example. They do make me want to run a modified Isle of Dread campaign. I keep coming back to that. If we ever get a role-playing group out here, it is extremely sad that, you know, we do not have an RPG group. I'm just gonna bring up these knuckles a bit. Now we're adding highlights. I started out with that mixture of troll flesh and goblin skin, and now I'm bringing it up by adding some white to my goblin skin, which makes a fleshy color. If I need it warmer, I'll add a little yellow also. Doo-doo. Could be a new painting style. Oh, good. Yeah, definitely. Oh, yeah, the mega box is crazy. We opened ours the other day, Liquid Nebula. Vex jetpack. Yeah. Cats with freaking Vexes on their heads. Yes, exactly. Oh, I'm scrolling, sorry. Oh, I'm sure cats want opposable thumbs as it is. They would love to be able to sneak into the kitchen for a snack while you're sleeping. Much like teenagers. Cats would just be small, furry teenagers. There we go. There's our fan. Bring it into the light. You guys are so silly. I'm having kind of a silly day too. Actually, I feel really good. I went back on keto almost 2 weeks ago. And I have to say, even though I was like, oh no, back on keto, it was actually really painless this time. I didn't get keto flu or anything. Maybe because I've been eating low carb all these months instead of going like straight back onto high carbs or anything. And I've been sleeping better. It's really crazy. I never noticed this before because I didn't have my Fitbit, right? So I didn't have anything tracking my sleep. But now I get a sleep score every day. And I was definitely having some runs of 73s and 75s before. And I've noticed in this last 2 weeks that I haven't at all. Everything's been in the 80s. So there's another vote for keto as a diet. Yay, keto. Also, I have better energy. And your cat would do it in front of you. Yes, exactly. Yeah, I'm thinking about buying a Vex. I don't know. David's giving me an eyebrow. Probably. He's still in meetings. Actually, no, now he's probably at the store. It's his grocery day. I hope he remembers all the stuff we need. I didn't get time to remind him. Doing a little bit more highlighting here. Just bringing the hand up, and then just like I did here, If I need to blend it a little, well, I could grab some troll flesh and kind of do a little bit of layering in there to get my bridging between the green. I've also got a little bit choppy here. This is not perfectly blended by any means. But I could take my troll flesh and kind of paint over that and blend it in. And then I could put a glaze over the whole thing and blend it in even better. So I can do troll flesh and get that a little bit better. And then we can do a glaze. Yeah, that's, we both do that, Crawly Hamster, but sometimes weird stuff pops up that isn't, like it might have been on my list, but we didn't need it at the time, but now we need it, you know, that kind of thing. So it's not normally on his list, so he might not remember. It's that sort of crazy. We just don't like going out of the house any more than we have to, especially Santa Clara County, which is where we are. Is actually moving, like we've reduced our COVID transmission rates enough that we're moving into the next phase of reopening. So we're doing so well. So I don't want to add to the problem. We'll stick around at home until things get a lot better. And try to avoid going out of the house too much. All right, so that may be a little too green. In which case I can just grab some water, brush it over. Kind of slurp it up. Because if I throw a lot of water onto this glaze, it's going to break. So I definitely need to slurp up my excess water here. No, David's not here, honey. He went to the store. Kiri, come on, settle down. She's like, no, I don't want to settle down. Come on, pretty girl. We only have another half hour. Can you settle for another half hour? Settle for another half hour. David will be back, I promise. Silly shepherd. Hashtag silly shepherd. Yeah, Crowley, I'm the same boat. Like, that's what they're talking about here. And I'm all for it if it helps the restaurants, like, recover a little bit. Because there's a lot of restaurants that we kind of fear for the lives of, you know? Like, you never want your favorite place to go under. Some places do better with takeout than others. Here, at least, there's space for outdoor dining. But some restaurants that we really like in the city don't have that space. So I'm, like, kind of... Like, David and I's first date restaurant has been closed all these months, and I'm like, oh, please don't die, because I really love the restaurant, and because, you know, it was our first date restaurant. So I have a sentimental attachment to it. So I'm crossing fingers that it survives. A little bit more light. Also, the higher you take your highlights when you're doing an effect like this, the more strongly the light's going to appear. So like here on the fingers, it's showing a lot more dramatically than it shows here. And if I wanted to, I could bring more light up here and here. Oh, a little bit too much there. But you get the feeling. Interesting that's I guess the good thing, right? It's like forest fires where like then new trees spring up, so then new restaurants have a chance to spring up if old restaurants go down. And that's cool, but not my favorite one, please. I want my favorite restaurant in San Francisco to stay open. Let's see. And just like I was talking about before, if you want to pop these highlights somewhere that makes sense, take them up closer to white. You can blend them in. Don't know if I'm going to get to the crystals. I thought I was going to get to the crystals, but then I got into this highlighting and shading, and I was so happy with it. This happens. I am just as distractible as Kiri. Maybe more so. It's Friday, after all. We're just hanging out having fun. So yeah, so that highlight really brings the light up, right? And then we need to do it up here for sure, because that is more facing the light. So you always got to keep, when you're doing this sort of thing, after you do your first run through of highlighting, make sure that you haven't gone on autopilot and just highlighted it kind of neutrally. And make sure your light is reading correctly. If something is facing the light like this plate is, then it should get a highlight that's stronger. And if blending these big areas, I use a lot of wet blending when I'm working on big skin areas, but if blending is like terrifying to you, you could always put some texture on his skin. Since he's a rock troll, you could use stippling for your layering instead. Then you wouldn't have to worry about blending. Hey there, Rex. How's it going? Yeah, game stores are definitely, suffering. Yeah, it is terrible, right? Where you're like, oh, I just started this thing. I'm so excited. And catastrophe strikes. It happens. It's like when I moved out here, I was kind of depending on thinking about doing seminars, right? In-person seminars to help boost my income. But that's a no, thanks to COVID. So I've had to do other things. On the other hand, if I was doing those, I might not have been tempted to do my own Twitch channel. So, hey. Now I could do both once it's safe again to do seminars. I did think about doing an online seminar, trying one after we did ReaperCon. Let's see here. Is this all reading right? Yeah. I don't think there'd be a sharp highlight there because of all those crystals. You can also, David does this a lot, you can also hold the mini out kind of at arm's length to kind of get it. I can look at it on the camera and usually get an idea if I'm getting highlights correct. I do have a big dark shadow here. So I'm trying to read whether that's actually correct. I think it is actually. When I'm looking, if I look at my mini from my light sourcing side, yeah, I guess I could do a little bit more highlighting in here. Palms of the hands are going to go up fleshy like this. They're also, in fact, they're even orangier, see? So they're going to be more skin colored even than this. This is getting some green glazes to knock it down a little bit. But this is more the color, maybe even a little bit more orangey, fleshy on the inside of the hands. So you can see there from the back what I'm planning to do. I want some contrast. Like, it's so boring when you're painting the model entirely one color, with all this green. And so it's nice, especially when you're doing non-human skin tones, it's always nice to introduce some contrasting color that implies like more blood flow, or just a different kind of skin texture maybe. So David does this a lot on his green skins, and I do too. And then you can do the same thing with blue skin. Red skin, it's a little harder because obviously you're already red, and blood is usually the color that's changing the skin, color. So if you've got red blood and red skin, it's like, well, how do I do this, right? So that can be very difficult to try to take a non-human red skin tone and try to make it look more human or more lifelike. Yeah, I've been doing sushi when I can here, and we get takeout from a couple of our favorite Indian places because, oh my god, saag paneer, I can eat it all day, every day. Hey, 65 viewers, guys. Awesome. Thanks for all coming out today. I remember I'm trying to boost my channel count, so thank you, everybody, for coming out. Let's see here. I need to kind of look at this from the other side too. Where am I? Oh yeah, I was going to highlight that a little bit more. So what we'll do maybe Monday then is we'll talk about doing these tiny gemstones, and we'll do that. Because I'm kind of in a rock troll mood. I like that I have a number of models to switch back and forth between now. So I still have a couple of rocky models, and I was thinking about what I might do to them that would be a little bit different. I know somebody wanted me to do an NMM Rocky, so maybe I'll do that. We'll have to think about which metal color we want to do, though. Do you guys have a vote? Like, what color of Rocky you'd want to see? Bronze, copper, gold, silver? if I did an NMM Rocky. Because I've got Pouncy Rocky and Flying Rocky. Pouncy Rocky probably is the easier one to do NMM on. No, chrome. But Polaris, it looks so cheap. I mean, I can do it if you guys want me to do it. It's just, yeah, I could do it. I could do it. I could do chrome. If you guys want silver, quote unquote, chrome, want me to do the Larry Elmore. He's the first one who did it, I think. And I am a Larry fangirl. But yeah, we could do that. There we go. So I've got a little bit more of a shadow here now. It's a little bit softer. I'm not getting as dramatic of a light here. But since this arm is more horizontal, I probably wouldn't get as dramatic of a shadow and light. Yeah, I mean, I could do chrome. I just, yeah, my heart wouldn't be in it. You're right. I mean, I don't know that their that Rocky scales are really made for that. Like, I think it would just turn into a tedious exercise of doom. Like, I could show you guys everything you needed to know by doing the face and one shoulder. I could do a Patreon poll, sure. Hi, I'm from Wisconsin. I mean, silver and chrome are essentially the same thing, Mathophile, but silver is even more boring. Because you're still reflecting the same colors. It's still the same color. It's still a white metal. It's just the only difference between silver and chrome is the finish. And technically chrome is probably even a little whiter. I'd have to see what the molecular build out is of it. It's directly, the color of metal and the color it reflects are directly due to like the number of electrons in various rings and what color burst of light they give off when they jump rings. Which is kind of nuts. But yeah, so silver and chrome reflect the same way. The only difference is that chrome is super highly polished surface. It's a mirror. Chrome is mirror silver. So it's not so much a question of that the colors would change. It just would change the way you'd have to do a very hard demarcation line on every scale. Essentially, you could watch me do it, but you'd get bored after the first day of it, and I would get bored after the first hour of it. I mean, it would be fun on the face, I guess, but it just would look really weird. I have examples, like, on my phone, just in case I want to do it, but it'd be cooler to do chrome. What I was saving, and chrome equals Sky Earth NMM, SE NMM. I was saving that, actually, because I have those science fiction busts. And I have a couple of them that I got specifically so I could do like Sky Earth on like a metal shoulder and stuff. So don't worry, it's coming. I just gotta like get out the bust, prep it, decide which one I want to use for it. Bronze and copper are more fun. Colored metals act the same as every other metal. It's simply, I mean, in a way, like doing green or purple metal is just isn't even as interesting as doing some of the most interesting metal to do is corroded metal, and the most interesting corrosion to do is copper bronze or brass. So it's like, otherwise colored metal acts the same way as normal NMM, guys. It's all about where your highlight and your shadow go, and it's actually you're not usually even reflecting as much of the surrounding environment, so it's save the chrome. Yes, I'm doing SE NMM on that Elf Templar. You're correct. Yeah, I was just thinking about her the other day. I'm trying to decide on skin color. Chrome does look better on science fiction and cyberpunk stuff. That said, like, the only place I think it fits in fantasy is if you've got magical armor that's plainly, like, too ornate to be natural, like my paladin here. So like that, this is very close to chrome, the way they've painted it. But you could tell it's a very shiny silver. And so this I will do in SE NMM. And a pain in the butt it's going to be. But a very fun pain in the butt. SE NMM is Sky Earth NMM. Essentially it's chrome, Crowley, where you are highlighting, you're reflecting the sky above and the earth below, and you're doing it extremely precisely. And you don't have to do it chrome. It could just be shiny silver, or shiny steel. It's just how much is your environment being reflected in the metal makes it sky earth. When you can see a horizon line and a change in color from the top to the top above and below that horizon line, you're doing SENMM. Yeah, I mean you won't get a true chrome, a real chrome look Mathophile without going solvent-based paint. So if you see a water-based acrylic that calls itself chrome, like Vallejo puts one out, it'll be a very shiny silver, but it won't give you the same finish. Alcohol-based paints can get close because of the flake that's available. Yeah, you could. Really, really polished up, Crowley. You just wouldn't get as much, like you wouldn't get that sky color, ground color as much because the sky shift would go more, greenish. I don't even know if gold would really reflect that. It might just make it lighter. I'd have to experiment, I guess. But I don't think it would. I don't have anything really, really shiny in gold. I mean, if you watch The One Ring with Fellowship of the Ring and stuff, you'd get a better idea. But a lot of the time, he's lighting the ring by firelight. I don't remember if he's lighting the ring. I mean, I guess in Gollum's cave, you could maybe, if you could get close up there, it might get some blue reflected. But yeah, SE is entirely okay. So metal color, like I said, is based on its molecular structure, and that's the color that it bounces back to our eyes, right? But whether a metal is sky earth is the finish of the metal. Has nothing to do with the molecular structure. It just has to be shiny enough to show that horizon line. Liquid chrome markers. Yep, that'll be solvent based. That's funny, Xanacles. Gunmetal, like gunmetal blue or gunmetal gray? Gray would be kind of boring. Blue is just another colored metal. Oh, I missed some green stuff there. I saw a tiny bit of shiny. And now my paint is starting to thin. Before, my paint was too thick. Now it's decided it wants to be thin. The problem with a real chrome paint, solvent-based, guys, is that it's almost impossible to shade and highlight it because in order to pull that finish off, it's got to be super smooth. So you can't really, unless you put a coat of some over there. Yeah, you really can't paint acrylics over the top for sure. Yeah, sealers are always going to dull it because the whole point of the shiny is that it's got a perfectly glossy finish val. So if you think about it that way, any sealer that is not... And it may be also a reactivation thing because sometimes when you put a solvent coat over a solvent coat, it'll partially reactivate the coat that you put on first. And you can get fogging that way. But more likely it's just that to get a chrome paint, the finish needs to be absolutely ultra shiny. And so if you put anything else over the top of it, it's going to dull it. Oh no, it's a gap, Crowley. I haven't greened in that. I haven't greened in that. Yeah. It's just stuff I haven't greened in because I didn't think it was necessary to green it in to really show you guys what I'm doing. Here it was useful to green to show you, like, because it was obvious that the muscles continued on the other side of the gap. So I definitely wanted to green over that to show you guys how to do it. I mean, mostly I try to paint bones as you guys, like, get bones out of the blister. Yeah, doing glazes over colors can be really fun. Absolutely, Mathophile. Yeah, exactly. And that's the problem. Yeah, this isn't going to be that hard to green stuff. It's this one up here that's going to be annoying because it's such a big gap. And I think this side I don't need to fill. It's a very close fit. I don't need to do that. I do need to probably put some green work here if I want to, because this is one muscle and it's being interrupted. Same over here. Don't need to worry about the waist. So yeah, if I decide that I really like how this model is coming out, then I may go back in and green it. But until that time, I think I'm going to pass. I'm going to just brush up on some of this stuff on his back of his arm. Right. I mean, and then you got to ask yourself again, why are you going to do chrome? You know, is it suitable for the miniature? I mean, it's kind of like Galaxy Cloaks. They're super awesome, but they're really only really super awesome if they fit the model's character. Stuff like this, like special effects that don't seem to really fit what the model is or where it is that you're just doing because you want to do a special effect. I always kind of just go, when I think about doing it. I'm just like, if I'm going to do a special effect like chrome, I want it to have a purpose. Like for that Paladin, that Templar bust that I have, her armor is obviously extremely ornate, could well be magical, and so doing a mirrored effect on it would be fantastic. Like it would obviously emphasize that potential quality of the armor. And if it isn't magical, then it just says she has polished this too and keeps it in amazing condition, right? It's her ceremonial armor. So that fits the character. So that's why I'm willing to do it on that. Just doing a little bit more detailing here. We've got some wrinkles, always some wrinkles on the elbow. Humans and trolls, I assume. A little less for him just because he's a rock troll, so don't think rocks wrinkle very much. But you want to get some of that detailing on there, and then if you get a little bit too strong, you can grab your glaze and just kind of knock it down. Boom. Perfect. But yeah, I think the most interesting dragon minis that I see are dragon minis that don't stick to one color for all the scales. Dragon minis that have markings or bands of color on the scales in different areas, or just different types of scales on the model are different colors. So the dragon has a predominant color, but it also has additional colors on it. Like lizards, if you think about it. I mean, a lot of lizards, I guess there are a lot of lizards that are just monochrome, but a lot of them have patterns and stuff. And snakes are the same. So it's cool when you can extrapolate that. I just want a little bit. That light's pretty good. Probably want a little bit more at the top of here. A little bit more there to bring that out. We're not painting dragons for them to look average, right? But I always liked, Larry Elmore has a painting of a group of adventurers who have cornered a young green dragon in the mountains. The green dragon is giving as good as it gets, but it's, because it's a young green, it has like stripes and stuff on its scales. It's really cool. It's the most naturalistic looking dragon I've yet seen. Yeah, people are a bit boring with gold and silver dragons. Well, that's because gold doesn't corrode. And silver just darkens as it corrodes. Or as it oxidizes, I should say. Yeah, I mean, go crazy with your dragons. You don't have to stick to solid colored dragons. It'd be kind of cool to extrapolate like a really like bright snake or lizard, complicated snake or lizard pattern onto a dragon. The key, though, when you're doing that, guys, is to look at the scale pattern. Like Rocky, the problem with Rocky's scale pattern is it's just big pebbles. So it makes it harder to do things like reflections and patterns, because if it was finer, it would be easier. Well, I mean, you could shade him with interesting colors. I always like to shade my silver with like green and purple cooves. You can pick an interesting color or a couple of colors to shade him with, and that would make him more interesting. There we go. Got our bright highlights. Still need to bring that up a little bit there. Yeah, it's almost 11. So we're intensifying the light toward the top here again. Kind of to match the rest of the back here. We've got some deep shadows coming in. This arm, though, is mostly in the light, so we don't have as much shadow. Yeah, that would look a little bit, that could look okay, Mighty Garrett. But if you were going to do that, I would definitely make the ground the same brown then, so that it looks like it's reflected. I mean, when it comes down to it, a silver dragon is just a shades of gray dragons. So if you're going to make it more interesting, it's going to be taking in the reflections around it. But you could also do like a blue and brown. You could do all sorts of different colors to shade, to highlight and shade your silver dragon to make it more interesting. It's just deciding what you want to do. Bringing that up. The sharper I bring that highlight up. But remember, this is a rounded surface, so we need to make our highlight round, not just in a line. There. And this is a good example, by the way, of I did not do a zenith prime on this, as you can see. I'm just painting it by thinking about where light falls. This is a good exercise for those of you who are trying to get that, your brains wrapped around that sort of thing. Pick a model that's fairly simple but has a dramatic pose. Try to do like a black and white or a brown liner and white underpainting on it as zenith. I am going to thin that a little bit. Making an ogre, a troll skin, troll hide glaze again. So I decided I did want to knock these pink tones down. Oh, I hear a David. Back from the store. Or it's an axe murderer. Could have been one or the other. Yeah, Sarah the Seeress would be a good one. The one where Julie's got the holding up the orb. She'd be a good one. There. So now I've greened out that hand a bit. So now when I come back and do much more fleshy color on the inside of the hands here, it'll show up. And I'm pretty happy with the back of the arm. It needs to come up maybe just a tiny bit more. I keep saying that and then knocking it down. We're not going up bright enough. That's a little better. Good deal. There. Alrighty. That's pretty good. So yeah, so we've got in this, this probably needs a little bit of highlight. We've got this all blocked in then around these crystals. So Monday, we'll come back and we'll do all these little crystals and we'll essentially talk about how to manage to fudge most of them and just bring out a few to get the overall effect you want. Anything on my Patreon about painting muscles and or rounded shapes? Not yet, although muscles things like this. Rounded shapes are pretty easy as long as you remember that if a shape is rounded, your highlights need to be rounded. Your shadows need to be rounded. You need to kind of remember not to do a line highlight on a rounded surface. And if you want the dramatic shading and highlight, if you want this dramatic lighting effect, you bring your highlight sharp up against a shadow. Just like all of these, you see all of these spot highlights are coming hard up against a very strong shadow. But I mean, mostly what I do is I'll wet blend my beginning, and then I will go back in with layering and highlight the muscles more precisely. I could certainly put rounded shapes and big muscle stuff on my Patreon side, so I can put that on my list. I'm always looking for more topics, and it would give me an excuse to bring out one of my wolfen, my confrontation wolfen, because those are great for that, because they've got big bunchy muscles, just like this troll does. Oh, do you want to go out and see David, little dog? Yeah, I'm sure he'll open the door soon enough. He doesn't need a little dog snoodling all of his groceries. I know you disagree. Yeah, do you want to go out and see him? We're almost done, Kiri dog. You just have to be patient for just a tiny bit more time. Kiri's like, I don't want to be patient. This is no fun. I want to go out and sniff the food. Yeah? Little doglet. It's almost time to take you out. Oh, yeah, we got tail sign, guys. All right, I'm going to end the stream because I've got tail dog to take out. Thank you so much for showing up. Thank you for putting my viewer numbers are 68, which is fantastic. Thanks, guys. We'll be back on Reaper Miniatures on Monday, I'm pretty sure. Reaper Miniatures Twitch. So keep your eyes open, and we'll see if that is the case. And I'll usually post on my Patreon Discord if I'm on here. If something has changed, I'll usually post that change if I get anything. I don't know if I have time to raid Small Sam. I have to... Let me see. Kiri is stabilized. Who's on? Oh, sorry. Who is on? Let's see here. Miniatures Den is on. Do we want to raid Luca? Or do we want to raid Dices? Who do we want to raid? Luca? Alright, Miniatures Den. You got it. Let's raid him. Raid. Kiri, hold on. Miniatures Den. And we're building up. Go say hi to Luca, guys. Tell him I'm sorry I had to raid and run, but I had to rush my dog outside. Here we go, and raiding. Have fun, and I'll see you guys Monday. Have a great weekend. Oh. Boink. There we go.